Hey, great morning, moms and dads. We are here to inspire you for yet another day because there is another way to raise our children that we've never been taught about before. And it's going to help you go from any type of frustration, arguing, anything from the negative side of the spectrum to more harmonious homes, peaceful environments, and kids that you actually enjoy being with. We are Bonnie and Thomas Leota, and we help parents do exactly that. We're the author of 2 books, Learn to Speak Kid and Raising Healthy, Happy, Cooperative Kids, that if you haven't read yet, go to learntospeakkid.com, download it, and make sure you actually read it because, I once heard knowledge is key, power. What is that saying?
Well, knowledge is potential power.
Yeah, knowledge is potential power. And then I've heard, it's the use of knowledge is power. But, we're only as good as what we've been taught, as what we know. And the truth is, and for us too, we don't know everything about everything. And that's the key. We don't know what we don't know. So today we're going to talk about 3 imperative basic things that we need to understand in order to have the most success, the most fun, and the most harmony with our kids when getting them to engage in and learn life skills. Mm-hmm. All right. So what's step number 1 or point number 1 that's really imperative to understand to begin, moving in the right direction in our daily lives as parents?
Well, this is going to be a big game changer. This is going to be shock and awe. This is going to be something that's not only going to rock your world, but it's going to make you think for a second. Because if we keep doing the same things that we're doing now and creating the same results, that's insanity. It's not going to get any better. So there's a lot of power that you have that we don't even know yet. So
yep. Before you make your point, I want to also add some benefits. And the biggest benefit as a parent is the freedom that you're going to have when you understand this first point. It's as I said to Tom this morning, it's so freeing as a woman, right? It's so freeing as a mom or as a dad to understand this.
Okay, even before we show the first point, because I know how excited Bonnie is of this. Bonnie was an amazing student because of all the work she did before, but not only that, is that she actually took this to heart, like she's saving her children's future. Mm-hmm. Okay? So I asked her the question, and this is step number 1 to teaching missing life skills. Knowing your role as a parent. So I asked her, Bonnie, and you ask yourself, what is my role as a parent? And this was a massive game changer for Bonnie the first time I asked any of the hundreds of parents I've had the privilege to work with. They've always asked them the same. So what is your role as a parent, Bonnie?
To make them happy. Oh, no, that's not it. To protect them. Oh, no, that's not it. To buy them things. I was like, that can't be right. And then the last thought is to basically follow them around their entire lives and control their every move. And that didn't seem right either. And I literally was like a deer in the headlights. What is my role as a parent?
And this is key. So let's think that for a moment. What comes to mind for you when you really think?
I'd like to see in the comments below before you give them, what is your role as a parent before you're hearing this message, before you came to this group? What did you think your role as a parent was? I'd love to hear it in the comments below.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because thinking is part of the freedom. Very key. The thinking is part of the freedom. As Bonnie alluded just a minute ago, she said, well, go around and tell them what to do and be that good mom and make them this and do that. It's like, how many jobs do you do for them? Very key is doing for them. Now, if I'm like you or you're like me on any level, I would certainly hope to understand that both doing for our little genius offsprings to the age of 2, you do everything, right? This is very key to teaching these life skills. Step number 1 is, yes, knowing your role is you do have to do everything for them when they're 2 and younger. So what comes to mind, Bonnie, when you were thinking, what is your role?
Well, the definition of the role as a parent.
Well, the definition of a role as a parent from a Creating Champions for Life perspective is just like Mother Nature intended. You do for, you do with, so the child can do all on her own and they leave the nest. Our job is to teach them those missing life skills so they can do, be, and have anything and everything their heart desires. You are a trusted advisor to their world. They picked you to see how the world works. Show me how I can jump on things. Show me how I can ride all over anything. It's a matter of you seeing the child's goal, which is what's going to drive them. They're going to do it with or without
That's
you.
the third point.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I might have got ahead of myself.
Yeah, so we can talk all day. I mean,
I get so excited about this
I
stuff.
don't
I'd
think
love to just
anyone
tell
has
you
time
everything.
for us to talk all day. And I want to just talk about Helen because she did give us an answer. So thank you so much for posting in the comments below. She said it was to teach them the right way to behave. And you know, yeah, that's going to be part of it. That's going to be part of it. But then how do we teach them the right way to behave? Are we telling them how they should behave? Are we telling them who they should be, what they should like, where they should sit? How, do you know what I'm saying? Like we feel like, no, I'm not going to say we feel like, because I think that our instincts as parents knows better. But like we said at the beginning, we're only as good as what we've been taught. And we've literally, from our parents and maybe some of you, even your grandparents in this generation, the generation that went from beating kids every time they did something out of line. Because Helen, I promise you, if you beat them every time you wanted them to behave a certain way, pretty soon they would comply, but they would comply 100% out of fear. And what Thomas teaches is how to get them to comply by as you're saying, you know, they're making wrong choices. Wrong to us, right? Wrong to us is with the adult brain, which was going to be the second point. So the first thing to really understand is our role as a parent is not any of these things. It's not to control them. It is to prepare them for the world as it exists. Now, I also want to pre-frame too that we have complete study guides on each one of these points. So we're just touching the surface of the iceberg, to help you become aware of knowledge that there is an easier, better, and more fun to teach the life skills, and to raise our kids up. So number one, it's not any of those things except for prepare them for life.
Yes.
Period. Okay.
And
Number
so,
2 point.
Before we get to 2, just recap. Is your role to do cooking, cleaning, chauffeuring, problem solving, all for them all for all the time. That's very key. No, it's not. That's powerful. Let's get into step number 2. It will be totally freedom. You basically want to put yourself out of a job. That's
it's like, Mom, I want dessert. Do I owe you dessert? Where do the toys need to be? Helen, what choice do we need to make next time in order for dessert to show up? You see, and so that's part of knowing our role is not to provide the dessert or provide the toy or whatever it is that they're asking for, or find a way to overcompensate to make sure that they get their sleepover so they're happy. No, we owe them the life skills. And so it's really important. Knowing your role includes making a list of all the things that are important to you for your children to learn. And so, you know, if it's behavior, what type of behavior would you like to start seeing? And it's about making that list. I would like you to be respectful, which looks like this. Thomas said it best a minute ago. He said, you know, we need to think. We need to become thinkers and become a little more proactive because it is exhausting. Like by the time my 4 kids were ages 6 to 12, parenting the old way, authoritative parenting, was so exhausting that I was like literally hopeless and giving up, like crying. I locked myself in the bathroom crying on the floor because I didn't know what to do. So it's like what we're teaching you here is going to give you the oxygen mask. You're going to be able to put on your oxygen mask and breathe. And you're going to maintain some power and some control and begin to learn, which is the third point, and I don't want to talk about it yet. Begin to learn the tools necessary to have that harmony that we're talking about.
So is.
All right. So point number 2 to start becoming aware of to move in the right direction.
We call this step 2, parents' brain versus the kid's brain.
Oh, and let me ask, and for those of you that are watching, either live or the replay, do you believe that your children, whether there be, 3, 5, 10, 15, or maybe even 18 or 20, do you believe that your children can see, have the exact same perspective as you with how the world works and how to do things? For an example, if you were to look at your 2 or 3-year-old and say, sit up straight in that chair, do you believe that they can see what sit up straight in the chair looks like the same way that you can? And I'm looking for comments in the comments below. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a little tick-tock. So
there's a delay, so.
Yeah. And think about this too, right? Because we're beginning to become thinkers, not reactive. And that's part of your healing. Think, can my little genius offspring, my children, can they learn? Think for a second and ask that question. Can they learn? Do I believe in my heart of hearts that they can learn? And this is powerful because if you think they can, you might have missed the window at age 2 because they're now 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 still living at home.
Because no teacher, therapist, nobody in our lives, none of our parents are going to tell us this information. This is probably the first time that you're hearing this information because we have been trained that it is our job to be their chauffeur, their maid, their doer, their cleaner upper. It is our job to provide everything, give them a lavish life and make them happy. So this isn't something that it's not you. It's all of us as a world team of parents, right? So anyways.
Right. And see, and this is what's kind of neat is our kids, if we can believe, just have that thought. There was someone that actually believed in Helen Keller can learn, right? She developed at a very young age, deaf, blind, and mute, but somebody believed that she could learn. And Helen Keller became one of the best public speakers of her time because it's that belief. It's that what you pour into them, you believe that they can learn. Of course, nobody's going to do anything right the very first time. Well, name anybody that doesn't. I'll listen to you. That's key. The first time you do anything, you're going to fall, stumble, and fail, right? First attempt in learning. But it's that again and again and again and believing, not doing for them, but almost kind of hesitating a little bit, which is step 2, is the kid's brain going back and catching them at their mental capacity. Not the age of 10 or 7, but how mentally are they prepared? Sometimes they might be mentally 2, 3, or 4, but they're physically 10, 12, or 15. The ability to go back to their age.
Yes.
And catch them at that part.
Point. Yes.
That's powerful.
Totally powerful. And Helen, you answered it best because you said that they probably can't see the world the way that you can, but they can learn. So here we are, because we can get caught up in looking at all the problems, and how do we fix this and how do we fix that? And oh my gosh. Oh.
It's like watching the dog chase its tail.
Oh my gosh. So when we can understand, number 1, our role is to prepare them for life. Number 2 is they cannot possibly see the world the same way that you do. So, we've had families or clients that said, they've got like a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old and they'll run ahead of, the elderly at a door instead of holding it open and waiting. Well, kids don't automatically know that it's polite or socially acceptable to walk ahead and open the door for the elderly. Don't know unless we teach them, right? So to understand and just be aware that when your kids are doing things you don't like, they just don't see the world the way you do. When they're jumping on the couch, they don't see a broken couch, they just see a trampoline. They're just looking for ways that they can explore their world, and they're looking for self-control. They're looking for you to believe in them enough to give them the self-control. And we can't get into all of that right now, but we're going to be talking with you every single day and doing our best to get information out. We have a webinar this weekend if you want to come learn all the steps at once. But that was step number 2. So number 3.
Yeah, let's jump into step number 3. We call this creating the right environment. Isn't it amazing on how any animal, including our little genius kids, can master their environment? We've done it our whole lives. Thousands of generations in the past, currently now and all the generations moving forward, you'll always master your environment. So creating the right environment is so key. Now let's think about this just for a moment. And I mean this objectively with love. If you take it personal, you'll completely miss it. And that's not what we're here for. We're here to show you awareness. If you were to do everything for your kids, right? You make them breakfast in the morning. You wash their clothes. Matter of fact, you might lay it out. You might even get them dressed.
Hey, I was the best servant of them all.
Oh, this girl.
Every mom watching is like, yep, I do that. I do that. I do everything for my kids.
Bonnie was in such great shape when I first met her because she had a 7-bedroom house. I think it was 3 or 4 stories tall, and the kids would yell, "Mom!" She'd run upstairs. "Mom!" She'd go down to the basement. And I was like, my goodness.
I was the best mom in the world, Tom.
Somebody planted.
I thought I was. Sorry.
Somebody planted that seed. Like, where did you learn that would be the best mom? Because at the end of the day, when they're 18 and you did everything for them, why would they ever leave the nest? Right? It's counterintuitive. So is that thought serving us now? And if it's no, then we start creating a right environment where it's like, yeah, I remember doing things for you, like putting your shoes on at age 2 and younger. But there's that doing with phase. That's very important. If you haven't started doing the with and you're doing for, well, that might be where your very first, we call that dukkha, meaning being stuck as your wheel would be spinning, right? It's stuck. Mm-hmm. And if you start to unloosen them and be like, well, instead of putting the shoes on them, ask a question. Do you think you could do one of these and I'll do this one? Right? You start a very slow transition of doing for, but what part of that process can they start to do on their own and you don't do it anymore? Mm-hmm. This is going to be a big step. Stop. And I remember, you might remember the video before when Bonnie Zach said, "I'm thirsty. I want some juice." And boy, she just went right into juice mode. Yep. I'm like, whoa. This guy's smart enough to probably make it on his own. Let's take a test.
You've told the story, so I want to break this story down. This is a perfect story that we can break down and match all 3 of the points that we're talking about today, right? Knowing your role, parents' brain, kids' brain, and creating the right environments is the first 3 modules of our 12-module Learn to Speak Kid program. So there's some work to do. There's some things to learn. But when it came to the juice, so before Tom, I thought it was my job to make the juice, serve the juice. I'm a good mom. And then Tom uses that. So, "Mom, I'm thirsty." He used that as an opportunity. Number 1, he knew our role is to prepare him so that he can live life without us. So he can juice whether I'm around or not. He can actually not be thirsty anymore, which, holy cow, we're creating some independence, right?
So, Mom, could you imagine? That would be one less thing that you would have to do in your daily routine is to make juice. That would buy you another 5-10 minutes of relaxation time because they are very capable.
Yes. Okay. So he knew the role. He knew he wasn't going to let me go make the juice and serve the juice like I was a servant. He stopped me there. Knowing the role is to teach him how to make juice. Number 2 is he understood that Zachary at the age of 6 doesn't see the world we do. Like we got to stop work and go and make the juice, whatever. He didn't even ask to be here. Like he didn't ask to be born. Right? I'm his mom and I could get mad for him being annoying, but he didn't even ask to be here. So anyways, he could understand Zach doesn't see the world the same way we do. He's just a little guy, never been taught to make juice. So he taught him how to make juice by creating the right environment. Now, if Tom had said, "Let's go have some juice training. We're going to go teach you guys," and they were like watching their TV or playing video games or something, they wouldn't have been motivated. It would have been the wrong environment to engage him in the life skill lesson. So he waited until Zach asked for something. "Hey, Mom, I'm thirsty. Zachary has a want. My want or desire is for my kids to start becoming more independent so that they don't have to interrupt me every 10 minutes when they need something. He can now make his own juice," right? So the environment was Zachary was motivated to learn because he was thirsty. And our goal, well, the parent goal, the big kid goal, Tom, his goal was to teach Zach how to make juice. So anyway, the right environment was that he was internally motivated to engage in what Tom was talking about because he had a desire. And Helen, I would love to talk to you. I'd love to hear your story. You can send me an email, Bonnie@creatingchampionsforlife.com. I feel for you, and I just want to give you permission to breathe. And I want to say it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And, maybe moving forward, it's about being proactive. So when we say our 10-year-old does everything for the 7-year-old, and I had 4 kids and I know all about the siblings as well. And everybody overcompensated for Zach. All my kids overcompensated for Zach, and I overcompensated for Zach, and he turned out to be a 7-year-old infant, if that makes sense, right? And so now you can begin to think and step back. It's like, okay, so what do you want from your 10-year-old? What do you want? And you take time to write it down on paper. Just take a few minutes and write down what would you like things to be like. And then I would make another list of what are privileges that your kids have for free right now. And please don't go take everything away. That's not how we do things. But like television time, video game time, desserts, time at the pool. I remember when we first started this, Tom would take the kids to the pool and they would have 30 minutes, 60 minutes, or 90 minutes to swim at the pool based on what they earned. And I mean, there's a whole process to this, but to understand, today was about raising awareness about 3 things we need to understand to begin to engage in teaching life skills in a more empowering way. 1 is knowing the role. Number 2, parents' brain, kids' brain. And 3 is creating the right environment where they are motivated. And that's the perfect time for you to step in, because we're either going to argue with them or we're going to teach them in that moment anyways, right? So we're going to parent anyways. We're going to take the time to engage with them anyway. This is more like, okay, I would love for you to have that. You know what? I'm your mom, but I'm not going to participate one more moment in the welfare system, meaning doing everything and giving you everything for free, because all that does, it creates resentment. They're not grateful for it. My kids hated me when they got everything for free. And so when I started working with Tom and my kids were now like 13 and 14, and they were like, can't we go back to the way things used to be and where I paid for everything and did everything? And wouldn't you love that? And I said, you might not like me for a couple of years or whatever. But you know what? I can't contribute anymore to basically the victim side of you. The side of you that's angry, upset, the side of you that's lazy. I can't do it anymore. And so with my kids, I cut off the welfare system, bam. As soon as I realized that they would love to earn things, they would feel better about themselves if they actually made things happen on their own. And, it was my role to allow them to fail here and there. But I understood it. And once I understood my role, and I understood how they see the world through these little baby eyes, like 1,000 pounds was taken off me as a parent.
Right.
And I started looking for solutions.
Yeah. And one of the neatest things that you start to experience and just tap into, right? I know you're adults, but think of yourself as a big kid and go back in time just a little bit and think about the very first time you had somebody in your life that actually believed in what was important to you, known as your goal. And they were like that trusted advisor, best friend that says, you know what? I know exactly how that can happen, and let me show you how I do it. And they believe that they could learn, and they showed you some things, and you actually did it. And that very first time, you did it all by yourself. Might have been when you walked. We might not remember that one, but we definitely remember the bike or driving a car. Took a lot of times, but when you got it, that feeling inside of, look what I just did, feels so good. It's that positive proton power from the inside out. And that's what's missing in our kids, because once they get a feeling of that part, self-esteem automatically goes up, confidence automatically goes up. That's creating the right environment. And yeah, we might have been doing it backwards for a while, but now we start to switch this around. So it might take a little bit of time to make it change, which is natural. But when you tap into that, that's what our little genius offsprings are begging and pleading, just like they did in the, the Dr. Seuss movie, Horton Hears a Who. We are here, we are here,
Yes.
we are here. And the question is do you got that big elephant ear? Can you supersonic hear their goal? Because they really want to be like you. Can I do what you do? And things of that nature. So, to recap, know your role, number one. Go back to the age that they were mentally, not physically, and start to build. And three, creating the right environment where we stop doing for and we begin to do with the goal in mind that they can do it all on their own. And that's preparing them to leave the nest with success, peace, joy, and that's how we raise healthy, happy, cooperative kids.
We understand, as Tom was just saying, it might take a little bit of time to turn things around, because could you ever imagine trying to stop a full motion train on its tracks in momentum? And so a lot of us have momentum in the negative direction right now. There's so much momentum. It's like, how do you halt and stop and begin to way? And that's what we're here for. That's what knowledge is for, raising healthy, happy, cooperative kids. Read it. It's going to fill your heart with so much hope. It's unbelievable the changes that can be made. You can do it too. If I could do it, and we have clients all over the world that are making the transition, you can do it too. Thank you so much for being part of this group, for engaging, for trying, for having hope enough to even watch this video. We appreciate you. If you know anyone that could use, our advice, or you're feeling like, okay, I don't understand this yet, but it gives me hope, make sure you invite your friends to this group, because we're here to serve you and help you.
Yeah. So until we meet again, here's to your parenting success. Cheers.
Bye for now.